Alright, I don't know exactly what happened, but it looks like we are good to go finally. And hello everyone, and welcome to the stream. I am your host, Adam, and I have a surprise for you today, even though it's really not that big of a surprise. It's just kind of weird. Hey, guess what? I'm here now! How's it going, guys? I went and upgraded the stream a little bit. Just a little bit, just got my face on the camera here. Let me make sure that is actually showing up in stream. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Yep. So, I am going to be doing this from now on because I find it mildly entertaining to have my face on screen when I'm raging. And now, I have someone who had requested a specific tutorial today, and that is going to be making a top-down tank game. So I'm going to start doing the mechanics for that. It actually ended up being a little bit easier than I thought it was going to be, but it still had its challenges. Um, and as a second bonus, I did something I don't do very often, which is I actually modeled the character we're going to be using for the tank. So, gonna go ahead and grab that in here. But please feel free, if you have questions, please feel free to continue to post them in the chat, and I will be happy to have a look. This is going to be our main focus, though, for the day, since it had come in earlier in the afternoon. Let's see, no smoothing group. So this is our tank body. It's nothing special, it's just basically a box with some wings. Less boxy box. It's kind of a half box thing. Also, you'll notice I tend to look off to the side instead of looking at the camera. The reason is my main monitor is on the left, but the webcam only has enough cord length to get to my second monitor, so I apologize for that if it's confusing or weird. There's really not much I can do about it, but that is just one of the things we're going to have to deal with. This is the turret top that I made, which is going to be quite a major focus in this little game that we're making. Okay, so very first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and get a game mode set up. We're going to call it tank game, and then we're going to make a, see, I used a pawn, tank pawn. We're actually going to be customizing our pawn quite a bit, which is why I'm not going with the character. We also need a tank controller, mainly because I don't want to use the capsule collision component, and I really, really don't want to use the specific movement that they have inside of the player character. It doesn't fit well with what I'm doing. So, I'm also going to go ahead and grab a few of these and lay them out so that we have some space to work with. Grab that, grab all of those. There we go. And last thing for setup for now is going to be making sure I have a nav mesh bounds volume. So what the request was to create a top-down game in which you have a tank that rolls around, and yes, I am going to build lighting. It won't be as important right now, but I am going to go ahead and build it. That way it's out of the way and we can move forward. Boop. Okay, so the thing was, he wanted a top-down tank game where your tank followed the mouse location for movement, but that you could actually go ahead and build lighting. Okay, but you could actually go around and move the turret separate from the, yes, I want to allow access, separate from the tank body, and then fire from the turret, which turned out to be really complicated with the character blueprint, which is why we're not using it. Like I tried building one that was simple where I used the character blueprint and then just put a fake turret thing over the guy's head, but that ended up just causing all sorts of weird issues. Oh, also, let me know if the stream ends up having trouble. I just got my internet back, like yesterday, and there is a little bit of a potential problem in that I only have 10 upload instead of the 20 that I had at the old house. So that may come into play. I'm not sure. Most of the work, by the way, is going to be done in our tank pawn, but we need to actually set up our tank controller, but we need to set up our tank pawn first, which is going to be a scene component. And that's going to be our root. And then I need two static mesh components. Static mesh, static mesh. This is going to be called the body. Let's see, Katatis. Oh, did Mike say hi for me? I think it was like 2 weeks ago that you helped Mike or Jake, and they said, "Oh, some dude help." And I was like, no, they didn't tell me that. I was actually just talking to Mike and Jake today. I think Jake said he might be swinging by the stream though, so you can yell at him if he shows up. All right, we're gonna call this one the turret. And let's see. And that was probably Jake, because Jake and I haven't known each other quite as long as Mike and I have. I've been working with Mike for a couple years now, or just about. Let's see, where is tank body? Now, I'm going to go ahead and show you guys the mistake I made earlier, which is probably not going to come into play much, but I would rather just go ahead and show you that, like, it's a small tank. It's not a big tank. I exported it incorrectly and didn't have time to fix it. So this is the size tank we're working with. This is the normal player character. This is the tank. But what matters is the actual stuff, not the size. So that's what we're going to go with. That's what I'm saying, and people can just accept it. And we need a camera. I'm going to go whoop right up like this. And I'm gonna kind of offset it, because I found earlier today that if I just put it straight down, it makes it very difficult to tell what's going on. So that is going to be our tank character, and we are going to go ahead and in the world settings we are going to set the game mode to tank game, and in tank game we are going to set the default to tank controller. Spectator pawn's fine. Tank controller. Oh, that's the replay. I'm in this. Tank pawn. There we go. Okay. And that should, in here, set everything the way we want it. Yay! And so when we start the game, we'll hit play, and we should be our tank. There we go. So that's step 1 complete. We now have a tank. Step 2, go into input. We need to make a axis mapping, and we're going to call this rotate turret. We're going to go with A, A, and D. There we go. Yep. I am actually not a Battlefield fan at all. Then I need to come in, and we're going to do one more little thing here. I'm going to add a socket to our gun here. I believe the relative location was 30 because I did not fix part of this. Ah. Let me slow this down a bit so that we're not going too far. Yeah, that'll be good. That's pretty much what I want. Okay. Save. And we're going to call this socket turret tip. Boop. Hey, how's it going, Tony? Alright, so we got that. We got our camera, we got this, we got this. All right, now we can go ahead and get started. I don't believe I need any other axis mappings right now. So we're going to go into our tank controller. And the very first thing we want to do is go ahead and make a reference to our tank. And this is just because we're going to be accessing this a lot. So want to get controlled pawn, cast to the tank pawn, promote that to a variable, and we're going to call this tank pawn. Okay, that way it is already ready to go, and we can constantly reference this. And then we want to do a few more things. I am going to go ahead and set up my class defaults, and I need to show mouse cursor. I don't know if this is going to work. So something that was really weird at work was I could not get the left mouse button to work through the player controller. I think it may have been a bug or just something wrong with the specific project I was using, so I'm going to enable click events, but we may not be able to actually use that. Default mouse cursor is fine. Camera manager class is fine. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, yeah, you're right, Katatis. I don't ever do this because I don't think about it, but you are right. Katatis is right. That's what's gonna print if it does, or if we are not using the tank pawn like we should be. It's going to say Katatis is right. Okay, and then the last thing, and this was something I did just to be able to lock the mouse to the viewport, is I set the input mode to game and UI, which doesn't really matter in this case because we aren't going to have any widgets right now. But I wanted to access lock mouse to viewport, so hopefully it will actually work this time instead of doing what it did while I was at work and not work at all. I said work way too many times in that sentence. Alright, that part is ready to go. Okay, the next portion is going to be pretty easy. We're going to go with event rot turret. You may notice that this was the event we created up in our axis mappings, which are in input, as I said, rot turret. So this is something you can do if you want to set up things like WASD movement, or if you're wanting to set up pitch and yaw rotations, anything like that. These are wonderful, excellent, excellent options to have. Now I am going to be using this one primarily to rotate the turret. Ha, that's why we called it rot turret. Holy crap. Let's see. Does that? No, the target should be fine. Because we're in the player controller, it should be fine. If not, I can take care of that later, Katatis. But good call. In general, yes, that absolutely should probably have something. But I'm going to leave it for now. Hey, Hovering Torso, how are you? Also, everyone, we may be getting attacked by geese in our stream here. For those of you who don't know, my Twitter has been being flooded by one of my coworkers who has decided that that he would use my hatred of geese against me and flood my Twitter page with images of geese. And he has threatened to come to my stream. And I have no idea who this individual is. If I ever find out, they will be irritated. I will make sure of it. Let's see. Yes, okay. Okay, Katatis, you win again. Self. There. It has a reference to self. Hey, Jake. Hey, Katatis, you can yell at Jake now. Okay, so we've got our tank pawn. Let's see. And we're going to go ahead and drag off and pull out the turret. Get. And then we are going to drag out way over here and go set world